They're just so beautiful to look at. Really. Mini Z, Kyosho, small scale rally cars. Just absolutely brilliant. Alright, so one thing to note is that this one has the X-Speed V upgraded motor, so it's obviously going to be a lot more powerful and in my opinion a little bit nicer to drive than the stock engine. Stock engine is very beginner friendly and prevents like crazy spinouts and overpowering something this size, but once you really get used to it, you're going to want to put a more powerful engine in it. And I have here another one, which is the X-Speed V motor. Now I will say this, there are upgradable motors for the MRO3 rear-wheel drive platform as well, but this one is specifically for the all-wheel drive, the Mini Z all-wheel drive system. So yeah, you might want to make sure that it's for the all-wheel drive. And here are the part numbers. I hope you can see them clearly. But yeah, that's, I think, is the most important upgrade for the all-wheel drive Mini Zs. And honestly guys, these kits are serious hobby grade RC cars. They're not like little toys, despite their size. It can be quite deceiving when you see something like this. You think it's not, but you can buy this car 10 times over just by spending a lot on aftermarket parts. And there are just a ton of companies, including Kyosho, that give you a ton of upgradable options, and you can mess around with the setup of the chassis, you can mess around with the material, you can put a ton of aluminum parts, you can play with the suspension, the differential, the shafts, the wheels, the tire options. It's just crazy. And if you're gonna be like me and you're gonna have a couple of these, I would I think invest in just upgrading the engine in the all-wheel drive chassis. But you can obviously choose one car that you go nuts with. And for example, I have this one here, which is completely modified. I mean, even the wheels are not plastic wheels, they're aluminum, and the disc brakes that you see behind are not plastic disc brakes. These are genuine little tiny vented disc brakes. It's insane. And yeah, it's not crazy modified, but I mean, the engine, the shafts, the bearings, all that stuff have been done to this thing. But obviously, if you're gonna get a bunch of them, you don't want to do that to every single one, or you might, up to you. But I just think these are such a cool platform, because mostly like with the 10th scale and the 8th scale RC cars, you really have to go outdoors to have fun, unless you have like a massive warehouse that you can drive the thing in, and you would have fun. But realistically, you can't really have fun with a larger scale RC car in your home. But with this thing, you don't really need much space to have fun. You can drift it around like on your bedroom floor or in the living room floor. It's just crazy. I'm not sure I know of any other scale RC car of this size that you would actually be able to drive like a 10 scale or a 8 scale RC car, because they really do drift very well. And if you want to put, for example, grippier tires, they're going to drive very, very well. So I've seen a lot of people race these on RCP tracks, and I know a lot of people actually, I know actually one person locally, but I know a few people in England that have turned their like basements or garages into RCP tracks so they can run the all-wheel drives and the MRO 3s on them. So yeah, it's just that these things allow you to have a ton of fun in a more compact space. And also price point of these guys is really, really friendly for especially beginners. And despite the scale looking details and all the little stuff like the antennas and the exhausts and the mirrors and all that stuff, it's just quite durable too. Now, when I was a beginner as well, I remember driving these things, and I would crash them like crazy. And yes, go too hard and you might lose a wing here and there, but or a mirror. But in general, they are really super, super durable. And this, as an example, again, this has been with me for, I want to say, at least for 4-something years or 5 years. And the only thing that I've managed to damage was one of the headlights. And it's not just the whole headlight, it's just the glass piece, came off. So it tells you something about the durability of these things. But yeah, the more you drive them, the more you'll learn not to crash them. And they are really super controllable and wonderful to drive. So I love the scale realism behind them. I love the parts availability that you're always going to have. I don't think these are going to ever, go out of parts and aftermarket parts. So that's one thing to keep into consideration. But the main thing is the realism and the way these things drive. They truly, truly do feel like a 10 scale drift RC car or a 10 scale touring car, depending on how you set up the chassis. So that's my main reason for loving the Mini Z platform so much. And again, this doesn't just apply to the all-wheel drive versions. It does apply to the MRO 3 and things like that. Even their crawlers are wonderful. But so anyways, let's get to install the motor, and we'll go from there. All right, so here it is out of the box, and let's pop it in there. Now they have a little tool which they give you, but I'm going to use this HBI tool. And again, I am probably working on this with one hand right now, so yeah. Okay, so old motor out, new motor in, and remember, red goes to the positive terminal and black goes to the negative terminal. And they even have a little wire holder for you here, so let's install that. All right, so that's all there is to it.
don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma